Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another movie review. Not just any movie review, probably the only superhero movie this year, on Marvel's end at least. We're here to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. The band is back together in more ways than one, but I've got a full stack even here on my panel tonight. I've got Lucas, Jorge, and Mike, Jedi Mike, that is. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, everybody?
Jedi Mike.
Mike, why? All right, so up front, me, I think pretty much everybody here except for Jorge, we were at CinemaCon. We saw like a small little snippet of a scene, and then we saw a trailer, and we were kind of like, okay, this is gonna be very much so rated R. So we knew the language was gonna be there. We knew it was gonna be pretty violent. But I did not anticipate what we got. For better for worse, here I'm gonna be upfront. I actually had a ball with this joint. I thought I was really entertained, but I think the thing about it is I was laughing, and I haven't really been entertained and laughing at an MCU movie in quite a while. There are certain things that remind me of what MCU used to do from a standalone standpoint, but I just was very surprised the approach that they took with this from the 20th Century Fox area, without saying too much. But I really had a fun time with this, and I can't wait to kind of talk more deeper into it. But everybody collectively, what were your small baseline thoughts of your experience with Deadpool and Wolverine?
All right, I guess I'll go first. No, I enjoyed this movie for what it was, which, if you look at it from that point of view, you will enjoy it. If you're looking at this to do more than it's set out to do, you won't enjoy it, and you'll find its faults. But I'm with you, Sam. Like, in terms of just having a good time, this movie checked all those boxes, and the amount of laughter that came from this, and it checked all the boxes for me. And especially for a fun summer movie, like, I don't think we're gonna find a better one than this one right now.
Yeah, just insane. We can't really. It's things we can't talk about at all. But I'm gonna go, Mike. What was your thoughts and your experience with Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah. Again, taking it for what this movie is a fun time in the theater, and I think it's going to be a great time for an audience to get their reactions to what we saw. Because again, I think that for me, the best experience this year I've had the film in terms of, like, I'm talking about, like, not just like the best film of the year. I'm talking about like the theater experience. People laughing, people cheering, whatever. I really felt like that way with Bad Boys. Sam was there. He felt that. Other films have kind of feel that way, Inside Out a little bit. But with this film, I feel this was very enjoyable to watch with a group of people. But yeah, and this movie is for people who have been with Marvel for decades, and the jokes, the breaking the fourth wall, the the honesty that this film addresses and everything. Yeah, it's hilarious. But again, this film does have heart with the two main characters, with Deadpool and Wolverine, which I enjoy, and I think they do it very well. But yeah.
Lucas, what was your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
It's a Deadpool movie. I mean, at this point, with this being the third one, you kind of know what you're getting when you come into these films. It is. It reminded me a lot of Deadpool 2. I remember when I saw Deadpool 2, thinking Deadpool 1 is the bar. Like, that movie is almost perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And Deadpool 2 pulled back a little bit, and it was a little convoluted at times, but it was still entertaining. And that's what Deadpool 3 is. Because this is a 3. It's like, for anyone out there questioning if this is going to venture into a different territory than the other Deadpool movies, it doesn't. And that's the key element here. So if you are entertained by the other Deadpool movies, I think you'll really like this one, because it's a solid Deadpool movie. Just nothing more, nothing less than that. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I kind of come to think about is that from a Deadpool standpoint, like I wasn't sure whether or not Marvel was going to be able to do a good to decent Deadpool movie because I didn't know if they were going to pull back. I didn't think some of the luxuries and the things that they were able to do in this, I didn't think Marvel would ever take that approach. And I felt like they didn't poop the bed on that. And that was one of my biggest concerns going into this because I went into this very blind. I was like, Marvel doesn't do rated R and it goes against their blueprint. And this is not 20th Century Fox doing it, even though they inherited everything with those IPs. And I mean, I don't know if you guys agree. Like, do you guys feel like their approach to rated R in this worked? And do you, because I think the thing is, like Lucas said, this feels like a Deadpool movie, and I didn't know if Marvel will be able to successfully land a Deadpool movie. And I'm not just talking about like the violence. It's very like for you guys, there's a lot of violence. Gratuitous at times, funny at times, but language that I didn't expect to come out as fluidly as it did. But I think the even more interesting thing is that Deadpool works best when he has material to work off of. They gave him a whole palette. They gave him Marvel to use to invoke whatever jokes he wanted to allow. But I think even more than that, in my opinion, I feel like Hugh Jackman in this was very comfortable. I think that he seemed like he had an actual good time doing it. Certain scenes I kind of was like, he's not phoning this in. It seems like he's really actually enjoying this ride. And I think that we've never seen Wolverine quite like this. And I don't know. I can't say much more than that. But what do you guys think of the approach to the rated R with Disney doing it versus where your expectations were going into it? Because that was the only thing I was really worried about more than anything.
I think the first question is, how much do people know about exactly how this movie came to fruition? I think so. I don't pay attention to anyone who would say this is not what I expect Marvel to put out. This is the first movie that is under the Marvel banter with Disney that is produced by the star of the film. This is the first movie under the Marvel banter with Disney where the star of the film picked the director. Like, and the star of the film picked the writers. We have to keep in mind here, all Disney did was tell Ryan, if you want to make a Deadpool 3, we will give you a big budget. That's it. No other input. Ryan picked the director. Ryan picked the writers. Ryan picked the cast. He did exactly what he was doing at Fox. He did here. The only difference is this movie costs twice as much as the first two Deadpool movies combined. That's the only difference here. So I didn't expect anything to change just off of that basis that I knew from the beginning that this was produced by Ryan Reynolds and he does what he does. And he was not gonna hold back at all. The thing you would give Marvel credit for is not getting in his way.
Yep.
So you don't get credit for making the movie. You get credit for not getting in his way. And understanding that Deadpool only works as long as he has full creative freedom to do exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I would say for a Disney film, again, when we talk about rated R, violence and gore or whatever, there's now to the point just because how ingrained we are in our culture. Are we talking about the boys level violence or like I don't know? I'm trying to think of John Wick violence, right? Because it's crazy. I mean, I think John Wick. I mean, fortunately, like you can take a young. I don't want to say parent control, viewership and everything, but like John Wick is not as gruesome and gory as the boys in terms of violence. And I think that with this film, they did a good job in terms of the violence and action. There is like definitely a few scenes are definitely like kind of like definitely gory and stuff, but again, it doesn't take the whole stuff out of the movie and everything. Like it's like some type of NC-17 type stuff. No, but it's really more in terms of the action, and you see blood, you see stabbings and gunshots and some explosions or and everything like that. So I think this to me it was rated R light, but still gory when it needed to be. But yeah.
Yeah, Jorge, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I kind of echo what we're all saying, but I think this movie more than anything shows what happens when like Marvel and Disney don't get in the way of themselves. You had, it was a hard R, in terms of language and violence and all that, but in terms of stuff that you're not used to seeing from Marvel, and not just like the rated R side of it, but I think it encompasses even more. Like the special effects in this movie were 400 times better than anything that Marvel has done in the past little bit. It's almost like you can tell that they took their time making this what it needed to be, and it wasn't a rush job. And I think that is the most apparent part, at least to me, because I thought, in terms of Ryan Reynolds having, kind of, I don't want to say full control, but like the carte blanche on it, there was no, you can tell that there wasn't a lot of pushback in anything that he wanted because of the character that that he's portrayed. And I think that's what shows more than anything here. It's just what can happen when you don't meddle with it as much.
Yeah. One other thing that I was going to bring in, because I mean, there's a couple things we can talk about, but if anybody's read any of the Deadpool comics, sometimes some of his one-shot comics are insane. There's one where he kills an X number of people just because. And so this movie to me, without saying too much, feels like one of those comics. It feels like Deadpool in a situation where he gets exactly what he wants, but then there's a catch to it. And I feel like every kind of character that goes in and out, every single situation that happens, it functions like an insane Deadpool comic ride.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, even though I do think that the first Deadpool movie was darn near perfect just because of its inception of it and how they created it, I think this might be one of the most entertaining ones, because I could go back to this over and over and over again. But I wanted you guys' perspective on it, because we do have to talk about from a narrative standpoint. I mean, we know exactly what this movie is. If you know what the Deadpool movies are, you know what you're actually going to get. But because it's in the Marvel universe, there are certain things that people have expectations of. And what we want to make sure you guys understand, that this is a Deadpool film. This is his
Not an
comic.
MCU.
This is his story.
Yeah.
So just know that up front going into it. And I just wanted to ask you guys' perspective on the comic nature of how they handled this narrative and how they framed the film in general. I mean, they not just breaking the fourth wall, they were picking at certain aspects of what Marvel is throughout the film, without saying too much. And I love that, which is why I really want to go back and rewatch it again. But I don't know what any of you guys take on some of that.
I think in terms of comic wise, you have to look at it as, I look at it more as, there were some scenes in this movie that you could literally only see in a comic book, like the way that it was shot and the way that it was carried. I think those are the things, like when everyone saw, like Endgame, everyone talked about how, that was the most comic book style ending, so on and so forth, which is what it was because of the shock factor. But with this one, I feel you can take some of these freeze frames and literally make a comic from it. In terms of the outrageousness, in terms of, like some of the crazy violent, like, fights and all that. I think that's more than anything what I took away from the comic book side of it. Something, that I was just thinking while you were talking, Sam, is Deadpool's probably one of the few movies in the whole Marvel, thing that has gotten multiple sequels that you can literally watch as a standalone, and you don't need anything else to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't need like tons of backstory. You don't need they're able to. I can throw on Deadpool 1, Deadpool 3, or Deadpool 2 at any point in time, and I don't need to see them in order. I don't need to see them in any type of, way they just work. And I think that's kind of where I kind of see it in the terms of like the one shots from the comic books and all that, where you can pick up any of the stories and just enjoy it. And I think that's something that Deadpool has created, is you can just enjoy it. You can pick it up at any point in the movie and enjoy this movie.
Yeah. All right. Mike or Lucas, do you have any takes in that before we kind of finish this up?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this movie is rewatchable. Yes, absolutely. There's scenes literally ripped from the comics that definitely like we won't get into. But I was happy to see that, no matter how brief they might have been for screenshots, and stuff. But still, it was good to at least see that. I there's moments where like I want to see even just in terms of action, like fight scenes that I thought were fantastic, even between Deadpool and Wolverine. The way the film was choreographed, through all fight scenes throughout, from beginning to end, I thought it was really good. And so I really was going for the thrill and the ride for that. And obviously the certain jokes that you're going to miss, just because of people laughing or plotting, whatever. And yeah, and I feel like that's the rewatchability of it, or just feeling like, that hey, and from a year from now, will I still watch this, whatever? Probably. Just for looking at moments and everything. Yeah, I think I will rewatch this again in a year or two from now. I think that's the biggest thing with this film, is drawing people like, hey, would you go back the following weekend to go see this? I think you will. I absolutely think you will. So yeah, I thought the way this film was terms of structured to that, I felt 2 hours and 7 minutes was a good enough time to get, the gist of everything and the rewatchability for that. But
Yeah. Lucas?
Uh, I can't remember if it was Jorge or Mike who worded it perfectly earlier today. This is a John Wick film.
that was me. That was me.
It's a John Wick film in a sense that you jump from set piece to set piece to set piece. So because of that, it's entertaining. So that's beyond a shadow of that. I don't know how comic book accurate it is. I don't believe it needs to be. I believe it just needs to do exactly what it did. It promised you Deadpool and Wolverine, and it delivered Deadpool and Wolverine. On that basis alone, that's the entertainment value of it. As it pertains again to just the structure of the film and Marvel's involvement, the only thing I can think of is they gave them a villain I didn't care about, like they do in every Marvel movie. But other than that, it gave you exactly what you needed, which is, if you promise us Deadpool and Wolverine, give us Deadpool and Wolverine. And it did that in spades, and it gave it to you in action set piece after action set piece after action set piece. And that's exactly what you're coming for. You're not coming for anything else. So this was a movie where I think Ryan understood, if I put Hugh in this film, people are only going to want to see one thing. And my goal is to give and deliver that one thing.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And again, guys, there's things that we can't talk about. There's so much that we want to say. There's surprises for you guys. There's so many surprises.
Yes.
There's so many nuggets.
And Jorge.
Yeah.
If anyone has seen the trailer,
I'm gonna preface
Right.
it differently. Yeah. Me and Jorge have not seen a trailer. We haven't seen anything except maybe the first original trailer. And I think I've only got like a blip what may be or could be. So if you've gone into this blind or a casual viewer, I can promise you, if you enjoyed certain things of what superhero movies used to be, you're going to appreciate what they do with the surprises in this. It's insane, the surprises. But to what Lucas said, like, they really gave us things that we've wanted for years. And they telegraph it, because Ryan Reynolds is crazy. Like, whenever there's an epic moment about to happen, he'll stop everybody. Like, hey, wait, no. You got to make sure this is right. Like, this is your moment. We waited 30 years for this. And so the fact that they break the fourth wall to give us the valued moments, they understand, at least that they're listening to what we feel like we would need, or you guys from a consumer standpoint, what you need. But I mean, the things that I can kind of say to kind of conclude it out, I think that it was really entertaining. I was really surprised by some of the soundtrack choices. I think that they were hilarious. I do appreciate Hugh Jackman's commitment to this. It doesn't look like he's phoning it in. I mean, not only is he in shape, but some of the things that they give us with this is really meaty. And I think one of the things he said in one of the interviews, he's like, this is one of the most enjoyable incarnations of Wolverine I've ever had to be able to do. And I think that because him and Ryan have a good relationship, they bounced off of each other really well. Like, it was a lot of good chemistry. But I think the thing about it for me is I haven't had this amount of fun with the Marvel movie probably since the Guardians films. And it's weird to say, I can't compare it to the Guardians film, but in moments I really do. I really had a lot of fun, and I was joking about stuff even after the fact, which is why I want to go back and see it again. The things that I'll say as far as negatives structurally, there are certain things that could imply certain stuff. There are things that I want to say I can't talk about. But that's really the only negatives I can really kind of give. I mean, I knew what I was getting. I knew that certain pieces that they're trying to throw at us are just pieces to make us have a knee-jerk reaction. So I knew that up front. But I knew going into it, I was hoping I was going to be entertaining. It exceeded those expectations for me personally. So for me, that's my closing thoughts. And as far as my rating, I rate this at A minus to a B plus. I really actually enjoyed this. To me, this is actually the most entertaining Deadpool movie we've ever gotten. And for Marvel to be the ones that kind of allowed it to go through and not get in their own way, I'm impressed on that nature. So that's my closing thoughts on it.
When the last time you seen a Deadpool movie? I gotta ask that question.
I saw Deadpool 2, which I did not like personally.
No one did.
Last year.
But when the last time you saw Deadpool 1?
Deadpool 1 is still really good. I never said what I'm saying is this the most entertaining Deadpool movie that they've got. This is to me. I think that if you grading it on a movie, we go this back and forth. Movie versus entertainment. Movie structure, how they put it. First Deadpool movie, I think, is still top there because it's actually one of the better superhero films they kind of come out with. But in terms of entertainment value between the three, yeah, I would watch this again and again, over and over again, personally. But Lucas Mike wants to go.
Okay, I can go.
Yeah, I'll just say this, and I'm probably gonna say this for fan base, for people who just want the quick answer to this. Is this better than Doctor Strange 2? Yes. Is this better than Spider-Man No Way Home? No. Right. Still a good movie. Great, enjoyable movie. It's funny how there's certain things, my own main negative, and Lucas was right next to me when it happened. Even though I can't go much into detail because it's spoiler, I just think it's very funny how they make a joke about the storytelling that the MCU and Marvel have been doing, only to do the very exact thing that they complained about. So, and that's my biggest point I with this film. Aside from that, and no, it's not about expectation. It's about what they told us, right? That this was going to be. And again, I still not let that remove my enjoyment. I'm still gonna go see this movie again. I'm still gonna have a good time watching, friends and everything. My wife, I got the necklace and everything, for free. Yeah, I'm on, But is this going to be the universe bending Marvel? Marvel, we're back. No. Is it a step forward in the right direction? Yes, but it's not about this film. It's about the next 5. So that's my thing with this. Still good film, good enjoyable film, and I think it's a good win for Marvel to bring the audience back and to just be at least somewhat happy of going to an MCU film collectively. But still, their flaws are still there, but they don't ruin my enjoyment. But it does add to a criticism of a part of my objective opinion or subjective opinion, I should say.
Mike, real quick, what's your rating and your flaws in the film? Is it more catered to MCU or catered to this movie?
I'm gonna say both because there was one. I guess really the third act was really one kind of, and even I can't even say it, but there's a moment that you're looking at the screen, like, hey, stick with us here. We're at the you're in the third act. But then that's when it starts to kind of unravel and do certain things. No pun intended on that. But in the universe MCU, yes, that is the main thing. But in terms of rating, I'll give this probably I'll give this either A minus or B plus, only because I did enjoy myself. There is one moment, and I won't say, but for a certain community of fans, that's where it's like. Yeah, I was like, hoorah, cheering, clapping, and that was the best part of the movie. Every time I think about this scene with this person, I smile. So Yeah, I give him points for that. But yeah, I'll give this probably A- or B plus. Kind of like just dabbling back and forth from it, but I did really enjoy this film.
All right, Lucas.
I mean, I spoke on my gripes. I think the story is too convoluted, and I think that the villain is the weakest of the Deadpool villains. So that is obvious, but none of it stops you from enjoying what a Deadpool film is. And here it doesn't get in its way any way, shape, form, or fashion of like hurting what I think people's overall enjoyment could be with the film. I do think that it's more fan service than actual film. It felt a lot like Endgame to me in the sense that I don't know if I would want to watch the entire film again as much as I would want to watch pieces of the film again, because I don't. It's not a story that lends itself to being enjoyable throughout, but there are moments in it that really stick out, and I think those are the moments that people will go back and rewatch, like when Cap got the hammer and stuff like that. It's multiple moments like that in this film that people will latch on to, but the storyline is bad. That's the best way to put it. The storyline is bad. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's a villain that you could have removed, and I would not have cared one bit if that villain wasn't in this movie. So that is the issue here. But again, you're in here to see what they promised you: Deadpool and Wolverine. So to me, as long as you give me Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm not going to complain about it. It's a solid B to me. It's not the best Deadpool film. It's a perfect, for fan fiction wise, it's a perfect swan song to the Fox films. It is not even close to the top tier of the Fox films, but it gives the swan song to the Fox films that I think a lot of people wanted to see or thought that that last X-Men Dark Phoenix film would be. Like, you get those feels with this film that you thought you were going to get from that film. So that's the level that it really works well in. But again, it's a solid B. I put it up there with Deadpool 2, which is a solid film also. But again, it's not going to hit those heights, but it's more fan fiction, more fan service, I'm sorry, than actual film.
Right, and last but not least, Jorge.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of the negatives, I gotta agree with Lucas. I think the villain of this movie is 3 billion% forgettable and a non-factor. I think this movie it's basically just a lot of cool scenes smashed together, and they loosely form a story, an entertaining story, and each of those scenes are exciting and awesome. If I had to rate this, it's a very much an enjoyable movie. It's fun, exciting. You guys do that A to F thing. I do more numbers, so I'd put this like at an 8.5. So that's what, like a B plus right there. We'll go
Yeah,
with, or a B.
Yeah, B
yeah,
plus.
about a B,
Yeah,
B plus. Yeah, we're in the same
that,
category, Jorge. I prefer
yeah.
to do numbers
That's
too. Sam
yeah.
makes us do letters because he's a tyrant.
Yeah. But no, that's kind of where I would put this movie. Yeah, but it's crazy because I think, Lucas, you kind of hit it real like the nail on the head. This reminds me a lot of Endgame, where I can't remember how many times I've seen Endgame since I saw it in the theater. I've seen bits and pieces of it because there's certain scenes that I want to see or certain parts. And I think that's where this will fall, where it's going to be a great movie that you watch certain scenes or certain, fights because they're just that great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd give this, a solid B, definitely.
All right. Well, you guys go and check out the movie for yourselves. Let us know what you think about it. I don't know what's going on, Mike. Hold on.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
you were like frozen, my friend.
You should
I
have
know what just
kept him
happened.
frozen. You should have kept him frozen just like that. He's perfectly fine.
Dog,
Being
it looked
frozen,
like somebody
staring into the abyss.
But you guys, let us know what you think about Deadpool and Wolverine. I think unanimous. I think we averaging that like a B plus to a B. And I think this is one of the more entertaining superhero films you're gonna see this year. But we want you guys to let us know once you watch it if you guys want us to kind of go more of a deep dive spoiler discussion, because we really limited what we can say.
They don't
We can't
want
say
that to
nothing.
happen. They
So-
We don't want that to happen. Listen,
You don't
I'm
want that to
down
happen.
for it. Hey, I'm down. But
Well, when I preface spoiler, I mean like the stuff that we can't talk about that happens.
No. I prefer not to think about this movie again, so it stays at a B. When I think about it, the lower that score will go. I don't want to think about it no more.
Well, let me and Jorge know if you want us to do a spoiler discussion, because there's a lot of.
Keep in mind,
there's a
Jorge's
lot of-
just like me. You let Jorge think about it, the score's going to drop also. Okay.
No. I don't. It's never mind. I'm not going to talk about this. Let us know what you think. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. I really do want to talk about some of the spoilery nuggets that I can't talk about. But Mike, where can everybody find your content?
you can find me on JMike7 and also here on TeamJVS. And this week, it's coming. San Diego Comic-Con is here. Expecting coverage for that. But yeah, you guys will see me in that spoiler discussion, whatever. I'm be open to talk about it, But yeah, so.
Jorge, where can everybody find your content, man?
You can always find me here, everybody. This will be the main place to find me, as always.
Thank you, Jorge. Last but not least, Lucas, where can everybody find your content?
On JVS, Big Gold Belt, and soon OnlyFans, because I'm gonna open up another stream of income. Because why not?
Okay, we're gonna go. Talk to y'all later. Peace, everybody.
Avoid the internet.
Filing out the top of
I can see skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.